So the Electoral College has now affirmed officially what we have all known to be true for weeks, that President-elect Joe Biden will be sworn in on January 20th.
But still, many Republicans, lawmakers, elected lawmakers, many of them elected in the same election, still refuse to acknowledge Joe Biden's win in that election. And President Trump may be trying to change the subject. With just 37 days left in his presidency, Trump announced shortly after Biden's Electoral College win that Attorney General Bill Barr, one of his staunchest supporters in office, would be resigning. Joining us now to discuss, Jeff Mason, White House correspondent for Reuters, and Shan Wu. He's a CNN legal analyst, but also served as a federal prosecutor. Thanks to both of you. Shan, you know this better than me. A typical attorney general, when they leave, much of the praise heaped on frontline prosecutors. There was a half line in Barr's letter about that, but most of his praise reserved in glowing terms for the president, who seems to have pushed him out. I'm going to quote a little bit here. Your record is all the more historic because you accomplished it in the face of relentless, implacable resistance. You have restored American military strength by brokering historic peace deals in the Mideast. You have achieved what most thought impossible. I mean, not exactly things in his pure purview. Based on your reading of his letter and his service, what does that say about his term as Attorney General?
And that's very much par for course for Barr, Jim. His failure to thank the service of the career prosecutors, the men and women at the Justice Department, because throughout his tenure, he ignored that. Throughout his tenure, he really degraded their independence by inserting himself into investigations, by being just blatantly partisan. So that's surprising he didn't even take the courtesy to do that, but it's completely in line with his approach to being the Attorney General.
Jeff, what do you think Barr's legacy is?
Well, certainly mixed. I mean, his letter made clear that he wants to be tied to the legacy of President Trump through that praise that you were just talking about. Of course, one of the reasons he's leaving the administration roughly 37 days before its end is because they essentially had a falling out over his refusal to suggest that there was widespread fraud in the election in November. So, but overall, Poppy, I think his legacy will be one of an attorney general who decreased the distance between the Justice Department and the White House, who supported the aims of this president, and maybe a little bit or a couple times went up against him, but overall was a very staunch supporter.
Shan, you said that you were, and I'm quoting you, terribly wrong about what to expect from Barr. What do you make of his resignation and timing?
Well, I think the timing, as Jeff was saying, it's obviously indicative that he was being forced out, and perhaps he wanted to save some dignity. But more importantly, I think the timing is probably more fodder for Trump to be able to claim that he got rid of this fellow who wasn't doing his job in terms of the investigation. I was very wrong about Barr. I think a lot of former career people, former officials thought that because he had been a previous attorney general, that he would have a lot of respect for the institution. We're very wrong about that. It's going to take a long time for the institution to recover. I remember as a young law student, I saw a brochure said that the DOJ was America's lawyer. Very inspirational. It's going to be a long time until people have that trust again.
Yeah.
So whoever, Jeff, is tapped by Biden, assuming they get confirmed by the Senate, to be the next Attorney General, has a big task on top of their normally big task, right? And that is to restore confidence within the ranks and with the American public. There are 4 front runners right now, and there's a big push for diversity, right? To have a black attorney general, or maybe with Senator Doug Jones, someone who has really fought for civil rights for a very long time. Do you have any reporting on who is the leading contender in Biden's mind right now?
Nothing beyond what you've just said, Poppy, but I mean, Doug Jones has been seen as a front runner for a little while, and because of that civil rights background. But yes, the president-elect is under pressure to put somebody in who is a minority candidate. And I think it's interesting that we're this far into the process now, and to have one of the big 4 basically spots left in Biden's cabinet that he hasn't yet appointed. So that is one that is being looked at closely, both for the reasons that you just said in terms of diversity, but also to find someone who can go back in and, at least from a Democrat's perspective, clean up the Justice Department and restore confidence in an institution and a part of the U.S. government that they feel has suffered because of Bill Barr's tenure.
Shan, Sally Yates has a record as well on civil rights. I wonder, beyond civil rights, what is job number one, briefly, for a new Attorney General?
I think they really have to show that the department is going to be independent again. I think they probably need to speak to the American people, as Biden has, to reassure the country that there's going to be a return to normalcy, that the department is going to be independent. It's not going to be just a wing of the White House.
And there will be tests for that, for instance, in ongoing investigations with Hunter Biden. Jeff Mason, Shan Wu, thanks so much to both of you.
Good to see you.
Still ahead.